start to bring you the music of the Ringleaders, a local barbershop harmony quartet. But two of the Ringleaders are in the studio with me, and they're Paul Wren and Ron Avis, and they're not only going to talk about their own group, but are going to talk about barbershopping in general and introduce some of the music, not only sung by the local groups, but from some of the top American groups. In fact, the Americans who inspired it all, is that right, is it?
Oh, yes, it was very right. The revival started in America in 1938, spurred on by, amongst others, a man called Owen C. Cash, if you believe the name. And it's grown ever since, and there's now a group of 35,000 people active in Barbershop over there. That's not to talk about the ladies who have organisation called the Sweet Adelines, and we're, you may say, we're following in their footsteps, but we're determined to make it a British thing.
And of course, a British thing indeed it's been over the weekend, with over 800 delegates from all over the country coming to your convention at 14. How did the weekend go?
Very, very well indeed.
And I can say to listeners that we'll be hearing an edited highlight version of the Saturday night concert on Saturday the 27th of this month at 14 hours. So maybe that's something we can look forward to and let our listeners expect with bated breath. But let's have some music straight away, and I think you're going to introduce us first to the Hove Harmonisers.
Yes, this is the course which in fact I belong to, and it was a recording made at last year's convention, which is up at Tyneside, and as you said before, it's Yes Sir, That's My Baby.
Who's that coming down the street? Who's that looking so petite? Who's that coming down to meet me here? Who's that, you know who I mean? Sweetest who you ever seen. I could tell her miles away from me. Yes, sir, that's my baby. No, sir, don't mean maybe. Yes, sir, that's my baby now. Sweet cookie, yes, sir, we've decided. No, man, we won't hide it. Yes, man, you're invited now. Yes, right now. By the way, by the way, by the way, by the way, when we reach the preacher, I'll say, with feeling. Yes, sir, that's my baby. No, sir, don't mean maybe. Yes, sir, that's my baby now. Right now, by the way, by the way, by the way, by the way, when we reach the preacher, I'll say, put it up one more higher. Yes, sir, that's my baby. No, sir, don't be maybe. Yes, sir, that's my baby now. Yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir, don't be maybe. That's my baby. That's my baby now.
Well, that's the Hove Harmonisers in concert at last year's convention. In fact, the convention in which you won the top award for the quartets.
That's correct, yes. This was the second national convention ever held, and was it the first?
It was the first competition. There were 15 contestants, and we were very happy to have come out top.
This led, of course, to your appearance on Nationwide on television.
Yes, that was to publicise a record which was made at that convention to help the Save the Children Fund, and we have one track on that which we'll be playing later.
Having been so successful last year, of course, that no doubt contributed to the fact that this year the Ringleaders were organising the judging at this weekend's convention.
That's correct.
And you were two of the judges.
Yes. As in America, the rule in this country is that when a quartet has won the international or national competition, they are ineligible to compete again. The reason for this is that barbershop singing is an art form in itself almost, and the people who win the competitions obviously are the ones who, or should be the ones who know most about the art. And if one thing we are lacking in this country is competent judges, and we've taken a lot of time to find out what we should be doing and to find out how to judge. In fact, we've organised 2 seminars this year, which have been attended by around about 30 people from all over the country to train up judges for the contest held last weekend.
Very briefly, putting it into a nutshell for the layman, what do you look for and how do you judge when you hear so many people singing in the same style over and over?
Yes, there's 2 basic sections to judging. There's the visual aspect, which we call stage presence, and that is in itself one category. We have one judge who looks after that aspect entirely. Then the sound categories are split into 4. Harmony accuracy, which is, as its name implies, the accuracy with which each part is sung. Balance and blend, the relative levels of each part, and this is particularly important in unaccompanied 4-part harmony, to produce really good round-sounding chords. In fact, it's possible to obtain an increasing volume of the sound as heard by balancing each part accurately, reducing the sound of some singers, increasing the sound of others, and
Gives you an overall increase in volume.
It certainly does, and it's really a fantastic experience.
I think you can illustrate this, in fact, with the next record that's coming
Well,
up.
certainly. The next record, I believe, is the 4 Statesmen, and they were the first quartets to come to this country. And we'd been used to hearing quite a number of English quartets singing who didn't really understand this principle of balance. And the 4 Statesmen were the first quartet to come here and put that over. They sang in a very small hall with no amplification at all, and the sound was really tremendous, not only in volume but of course in its quality.
So what have you chosen for us?
Well, we've chosen a good old English number, one that was originally sung by Cicely Courtnidge. There's Something About a Soldier.
There's something about a soldier that is fine, fine, fine. When they march on the street, people stand on your feet. They love to see our soldier, so they jump on your chest. You fall in with the rest. You want to see our soldier. You will run half a mile, but it's well worth your while, because somebody has told you. Down the street they file, holding cases all the while. Oh, how you run to see a soldier, because there's something about a soldier, something about a soldier, something about a soldier that is fine, fine, fine. He may be great big general, maybe a sergeant major, maybe a simple private of the line, line, line. Something about his bearing, something about his wearing, something about his buttons always shine, shine, shine. Oh, a military chest is a suit the ladies' bed. There's something about a soldier that is fine, fine, fine. Now the boys are waiting to start the big parade. Folks are congregating for eager feeling, and now the drummers start their booming. Trumpets start to blare, and soon the beat of 1,000 feet will fill the midday air. There's something about a soldier, there's something about a soldier, something about a soldier that is fine, fine, fine. He may be great big general, maybe a private major, maybe a simple private of the line, line, line. But there's something about his bearing, something about his wearing, something about his buttons all the time, time, time. For military chest, he's the suit the ladies' bed. There's something about a soldier that is, something about a soldier that is fine, fine. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, the 1967 champions of America there, is that right?
Yes, that's so.
How does that line up with the judge's ear?
That's a great sound.
Very, very good.
Great sound. there will people who pick all sorts of holes in that, and perhaps you may be able to detect some vast improvement, perhaps. No, not a vast improvement, certainly
Some
an
improvement.
improvement in that when you hear the next number, which will be of the 73 champions. But let's perhaps continue and talk about the other two categories in the sound portion. Paul, perhaps you'd like to say something about arrangement.
Yes, well, arrangement category is the category that gives marks for how clever the arrangement is. The arrangement has to be written so that all four parts can sing it. It's got to be within their range. It's also got to be in the barbershop style. This is very, very explicit, and you'd have to take about 5 hours to explain it all, so we won't even attempt it.
Who does all the arrangements, actually, then?
The arrangements we have mainly come from the States. The society in America puts out a lot of their own arrangements, but obviously there's a lot of amateur, if that's the right word, arrangers around, and we've got stacks and stacks of handwritten arrangements. We've also done some ourselves, of course.
There's now growing to be a school of arrangers in this country. There's certainly 3 or 4 beginning to put out arrangements, and we're hoping that we'll be able to put over some of these ourselves in the next few years. The other category is interpretation. This is, of course, very important. What needs to be said about interpretation is that in most formal music, the interpreter has very little scope, because it's important to follow exactly what the composer has written. Not so in barbershop. In barbershop, you've got a lot of scope for interpreting. You can change the speed, you can change the volume of whole sections, but while this is a freedom, it also imposes its own discipline, in that you have to work very hard to get a satisfactory interpretation.
This is what makes barbershop entertaining. And I think you should mention, I think, that barbershop, or the idea of the contests, is to judge the overall performance. And for a quartet to win the contest, it not only has to sound good, but it also has to be very entertaining. And unless you achieve these two criteria, no quartet or chorus will win a contest.
So how does all that get us into our next music choice?
Well,
well, when you hear the sound, you can't, of course, see the beautiful costumes that these people are going to be wearing. But when you hear the sound, you'll notice that they are interpreting the song well, that the harmony accuracy is good, the relative balance between the 4 singers is extremely good, and needless to say, they are singing a barbershop arrangement.
And who is it exactly?
It is
the Dealer's Choice, who won the International Championship in 1973.
I'll be walking down that honeymoon lane when we're down among the sugar cane. What a wonderful feeling, more than I can explain, when I'm walking with my sweetness down among the sugar cane. Boom, boom, if the moon comes a-stealing, oh, I will never complain when I'm walking with my sweetness down among the sugar cane. Little stars are winking, winking down to us from above. We know what they're thinking while we're making love. They're jealous, there'll be oodles of kisses, more than I can explain, when I'm walking with my sweetness down among the sugar cane.
Lovely number, that, when I'm walking with my sweetness down among the sugar canes. I believe you want to dedicate that to someone.
Yes, I'd like to take the opportunity to pay tribute to our 4 very patient wives who have put up with a lot of time on their own since we've been singing together, and particularly my own wife, Sue. I'd like her to would like to show my appreciation of her patience, infinite patience.
Do you think
in my absences?
Was it out of that kind of necessity, do you think, that the Sweet Adelines were inaugurated?
Oh, yes.
Without
Yes,
a doubt.
indeed.
Without a doubt.
When the men are out rehearsing in a quartet or in a chorus, the ladies have got to find something to do, and many of them do indeed take it up and singing Sweet Adelines.
Is there ever likely to be a time when there are mixed groups?
We hope not. We feel that the sounds, there's scope for both ladies and men, but originally Barbershop started, as its name implies, in the barbershops of America. There were no ladies present then.
Let's get right on to your own group again, the Ringleaders. We've been talking a lot about you, but we haven't heard you yet. Now, this is the song coming out right now, which won you the award last year, is that right?
No, it's the song we sang, in fact, as our acceptance number, immediately after being presented with the trophy. And we were obviously walking about 6 feet off the ground at the time. And it's certainly an occasion I'll never forget in my life.
In some ways, of course, it indicates that you can introduce comedy into barbershopping.
Indeed, it is very, very important. If you're singing to an audience, a non-barbershop audience, for 20 minutes or half an hour, they're going to get bored stiff with exactly the same sound coming out the whole time, because there is obviously a limit to the variations you can get before just 4 voices. So comedy is a very, very important factor.
So, as featured on television and radio and stage, the Ringleaders and the Auctioneer.
525, will you give me 30, make it 30, will you give me 30, will you give me 35, 5, make it 40, will you give me 40, will you give me 45, 5, make it 50, will you give me 50, make it 55, 5. There was a boy from Arkansas who wouldn't listen to his ma when she told him he'd have to go to school. He'd take a walk in the afternoon, just follow him, and pretty soon you'd find him at the local auction barn. He'd stand and listen carefully, and pretty soon he began to see how the auctioneer could talk so rapidly. Oh me, oh my, it's do or die, I gotta learn that auction cry, gotta make my mark and be an auctioneer. $25 bill, got a $30 30, will you give me 30, make it 30 bill, mark a $30, who'll you give me 30, who'll you give me $30 bill. Got a $30 bill, got a 35, will you give me 35, make it 35, will you 35, will you give me 5, a $35 bill. Now from the boy who went to school, there grew a man who played it cool, and he came home a full-fledged auctioneer. The people came from miles around just to hear him make that rhythmic sound that filled their hearts with such a happy cheer. His fame spread out from shore to shore, yet all he could do, and maybe more, he had to buy a plane to get around. And now he's up in all the land, let's pause to give that man a hand, 'cause he's the best hillbilly auctioneer. $35 bid and a $40 40, will you give me 40, make it 40, bid a $40, who'll you give me 40, who'll you give me $40 bid. Got a $40 bid and a 45, will you give me 45, make it 45, will you 45, sold that hog for a $45 bill. Oh, well, here we go again. Now, what are you going to give me for him? 525, will you give me 30, make it 30, will you give me 30, will you give me 35, 5, make it 40, will you give me 40, will you give me 45, 5, make it 50, will you give me 50, make it 55, 5. He makes more noise when he takes the stand than you hear from a real hillbilly band. He's the best auctioneer in all the land.
Well, applause there for the Auctioneers by the Ringleaders.
Yes. A point I'd like to make about that is that our auctioneer man there is Bob Walker, and you can tell who usually does the talking when the quartet get together, and if any sign that Paul and I are fighting each other to get a word in, you can understand why.
That in fact represents the basic lineup of a quartet. You have a lead singer, a tenor, a baritone, and a bass.
That's right. And in fact, Bill Little, our bass, unfortunately has moved to Sittingbourne, and the pressures of his family life and work mean that unfortunately he's leaving us after this convention. And we are actively seeking a new bass for the quartet.
So what do you do about that? Do you go to the choruses and find someone who's keen enough to work hard with you, or...?
It's been very, very difficult because most of the, obviously all the, the better basses are already with other quartets, and we're looking around outside of the immediate barbershop circles at present to try and find someone who can hold the part.
Yes.
It is a very, very good bass indeed.
Hoping to bring perhaps more people into Barbershop, either directly via the quartet or perhaps even via the choruses. There's some very good local choruses here. You've heard at the beginning of the programme Brighton and Hove. They meet at Glebe Villas every Monday night at 8 o'clock, and people certainly welcome to turn up there. And any sort of singer is welcome, whether you are singing the Bath Man or whether you're a trained singer. There's scope in Barbershop for all.
Yes, I think it was not very many years ago when barbershopping was virtually non-existent in this country. Barry Best came from America, and he in fact came into Radio Brighton, and he had 4 of us round a table during a news programme, and he tried to get us to actually do a few chords, which we did. But I think...
Sorry, Best.
We've met him only this weekend, and great character he is. He's come over all the way from America, as have many Canadians, to be with us at this convention.
You mentioned holding the part. I think one of the main problems for a singer like me, or I mean a non-singer like me, would be to hold the one line while the other 3 of you are doing different things altogether. But this is what you hope to help people to do if they come along to the regular meetings.
Indeed, indeed.
Well, it's been very nice to talk to you, and nice to indeed hear barbershopping explained as you've done so well. And can we also point out to listeners that on Saturday the 27th of this month, a special edited highlights recording of that convention over the weekend, of which you were the judges, and that'll be at 14 hours. So that's Saturday afternoon, 14 hours on the 27th. Don't miss it. So what do we sign off with?
Well, we go back to the 4 statesmen who, I must confess, are our quartet's heroes, and it's a song called From the First Hello to the Last Goodbye.
Could I just say one thing about this, if there's time? This quartet left here after a recent tour, and we saw them off from London Airport, and they sang this to the thousands of people that were assembled there, and it really was a tearjerker.
Our song is the song of tomorrow. Our hearts were as high as the sky. But songs are forgotten and skies often gray. Nevertheless, I can say from the first hello to the last goodbye. It's been awfully nice to know you. So excuse the parting song. And I watch you go with my head held high. You've been dear and sweet, a pleasure to me, a special treat, say I, from the first hello to the last goodbye.
In today's Worth Hearing, Keith Slade was talking to Paul Wren and Ron Avis of the Ringleaders Barbershop Harmony Quartet. Next week at the same time, Worth Hearing features Vince Wharton at the electric organ. Radio Brighton, it's 13:55, and we continue with music and down...